Juliet, it's good to see you in studio once again. How you doing today?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Boy, how about that Super Bowl, huh? That was an incredible game. Did you like any of the commercials? Hated any of the commercials?
I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I planned to.
What?
I planned to. It was awful. Our our cable, Comcast, which on Twitter goes by Comcast Cares, went down. There was some sort of accident. There was some sort of infrastructure problem. And they offered, okay, so I have 3 little boys and a very sports-oriented husband. So this was devastating. We were looking forward to it all day. We had the boys outside. We were doing, we sort of said, let's get our chores done. Let's do our project. We went to church, went to CCD, all this stuff, did our chores. And then we were telling them we're going to have this a little family Super Bowl party. So it ended up, okay, I had chips and guacamole and homemade salsa. I had braised a pork butt, so we had sort of pulled pork for tacos. I had homemade tortillas out. I made sliders. I made a pizza. What else did I make? Okay, so basically you get
sounds amazing.
It was kind of amazing, right? But you get the point. It was all sort of these little finger foods, like the sliders were little, and
Right.
I cut the pizza in little pieces, and the guacamole, it was all like the big bowl of chips. It was all sort of football food. And there was no television and no internet, so we all sat around eating this food, staring at each other like, well, kids, normally what happens in a football game. I mean, it was awful. My husband was so mad. He was sort of eating there, eating the food, angry. I mean, it would have been better if I had just never served the food because it was a reminder. It was a reminder of what we were missing. Anyway, it was awful. And then I'm part of a listserv in my neighborhood. It's very common now to have these sort of Yahoo listservs, and that just blew up. I mean, it was half of Alexandria and a portion of Arlington that was out on Super Bowl Sunday. I mean, I would feel sorry for the Comcast people, but I'm so mad that I heard it was a great game. I heard it was, and honest to God, a non-political halftime show, and I missed it. So it wasn't a good day. It wasn't a good Sunday. Isn't that awful?
Well, it wasn't really good. It was a great game. Yeah, it is awful. It was a good game. You missed a good game, but you also missed sexy Mr. Clean. I don't know that the world needed that.
Haven't heard about this.
You missed what? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go look it up. It's the Mr. Clean Super Bowl commercial. Tight pants for Mr. Clean.
Gross.
And the thing that really actually bothered me was T-Mobile, since we're just complaining about communications companies now. T-Mobile had this thing where it was something about, it was like a play on 50 Shades of Grey. So it was all BDSM related commercials, right? About, like painful wireless bills are okay if you're into that sort of thing. And then it was something like hashtag the safe word. The safe word is, I can't remember what it is. Thanks, T-Mobile. So I got to explain to my 11-year-old what a safe word was during the Super Bowl. That was fun.
I can't. That is unbelievable. Has there been criticism?
Yeah.
I haven't been. I guess it's just been so painful. Has there been criticism?
I think it's
for
just
this?
been little old me. I don't think so. I haven't seen it. Just
most people probably didn't get
on
it.
Twitter, just like, hey, thanks.
What's that? Most people probably didn't get it. People were like, I don't get it. Safe word. I don't get it.
I don't know.
No.
It was kind of hard to miss.
Oh God, that's awful. That's awful. That's awful.
Yeah.
And I guess
I thought that was pretty bad.
I guess there were some political, some lumber company and there were some political, sort of focused on immigration, focusing on Trump's, so-called immigration ban. So, I mean, you didn't totally avoid it.
The virtue signaling was there.
Yes.
Oh no. But here's the thing, so 2 days out, I guess Budweiser had one, 84 Lumber, as you said, which I just thought was weird. Like, to me, like, if you're a lumber company, like, where's the wood in that commercial? There was no forest, and here are the people who are taking this from tree to the lumber yard. Now, but I honestly can't remember a whole lot of the commercials. 2 days on, the buy drink, the flavored water had a good one with Justin Timberlake.
Good.
The buy commercial, that was funny. But honestly, here's the thing, and as a sports lover, I'm pleased to say this: the game was better than the commercials.
Yeah.
The game was better than halftime. It was just, and I'm sorry that you didn't get to see a single stinking play of that.
Yeah, well, we're Steelers fans. The family, the Gunlocks, were Steeler fans, so we were sort of, not as into. If the Steelers had been playing, I don't know what he would have just broken into somebody else's house and just sat down on the couch.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised that you didn't just load up the car and come on, kids, we're going to Hooters and just, why didn't you just go to a sports bar?
Because I had started making this food. I don't know. I think it was, we didn't realize how bad the outage was going to be. Because, you have to.
You always think like it's
you think it's coming on any second now. It's going to come on.
Right.
And then you're on hold for about 40 minutes to try to figure out. And then finally, I went on my phone and there was an estimate that it would be back on. The first estimate it would be back on at 8. So we thought, okay, well, we'll see the second half. And then it was 9:30, and then it was 10, and then it was 2 a.m. So, I mean, it was a disaster. And I don't know. I don't really want to load my kids up at 7 o'clock at night and go to a Hooters or even a sports bar that's, it's going to be crazy in there. And I didn't want to bother. I didn't want to bother any friends. So anyway, it was fun. Look, we sat around quietly around the table eating appetizers and trying to avoid eye contact. It was weird. Whatever. It was fine. There's always next year.
Appetizers.
Angry appetizers. I should write a book.
You should. Angry Appetizers with Julie Gunlock. All right. Well, again, sorry that you had to go through that. I'm curious, though. You've got a piece at Acculturated talking about everything political now, even food choices.
Yes.
Did you make any political food choices for your Super Bowl dinners? Was that a consideration?
Yes, I always make gender choices. Yes.
So, I mean, I understand the broadly speaking, the food choices, the GMOs and the whatever, but are we now talking about like overtly political choices? Like there are Democrat brands and Republican brands of food?
It wasn't Democrat and Republican. It was gendered choices. So men choose manly foods and women choose delicate bird-like foods. And sort of those expectations sort of help, sort of move us towards certain foods. It's again one of these things where it's a denial of gender differences, that women and men need different caloric intake and different minerals, and women need a lot more iron. Men need a lot more calories. So women need more calcium. There's more bone loss. There's just there's a number of actual scientific reasons why men and women need different foods, and so it's again one of these articles where you make these gendered choices because society pushes you in that way. It's a social construct instead of maybe women just need less food. The other thing that I can't keep up with feminists is they're constantly complaining. Like they make these charges that, we're just told to eat like birds, but then they also complain that women, and I actually agree with this, that women have a lot of demands to be thinner and to keep a certain shape and to look a certain way. And I mean, we don't have to blame that on men. We can blame that on Hollywood and some of the women in Hollywood who perpetuate these beauty standards. So they complain about that, but then they completely forget that. I mean, that's probably more of a reason why women choose a salad every day at lunch more than they feel like to be a woman, they have to eat quinoa bowls and lettuce. So anyway, again, it was this sort of muddled piece. I can't remember. I wrote this a week ago. I think it was a piece in the Washington Post. Again, it's just kind of weird. Like you actually printed this. The Washington Post thought it was important. It's not the worst thing in the world. I think the author is well-intentioned. She was trying to also make the point that this can harm people's health, that if men feel in any way less manly because they're ordering something healthy, that can have some health consequences. So I don't want to bash this writer too much, but she really did take it a little far.
Well, that's funny that you say that because that was the part that I actually had the real problem with.
Oh, really?
Like, well, yeah, because again, the idea is that it's not just that men are eating these heavy meaty plates and women are eating like birds. It's that men need to eat more like women. Right, that the men food is inherently unhealthier, whereas I think the better approach is, rather than say don't eat nachos but have a salad instead for the rest of your life, we talk about portion sizes. We talk
Right.
about not overeating. We talk about balancing.
Yeah.
But that wasn't it, right? It
Right.
was just, oh, look at these awful men and their awful diets. And look, I'll admit, as a bachelor before I got married, I'm surprised I didn't have scurvy, Julie. Honestly, on my wedding day. Really,
Wow.
and truly, bologna and cheese sandwiches every day for 6 months.
I've
Sure,
seen
Throw
your.
in
I got to tell you, I've seen your wedding picture, and you were awfully pale. I think your color is better nowadays. So I think
it's about 30 pounds lighter too. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what happened after just the first 6 months of marriage. So
Yep.
I get all that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just thought this was needlessly not just male bashing, but needless meat bashing as well. And
Yeah.
I'm a fierce defender of meat.
Yeah, I agree. And again, but I mean, there is a biological reason why men and women eat differently. This is something that when they were messing with the school lunch program, they said kids of a certain age get this much food, and kids of this certain age get this much food. It was a grade. It was determined by how old you were and what grade you were in. And so you could have a 250-pound linebacker standing next to a 120-pound cheerleader, and they would get the same amount of
Right.
food. And again, it's refusing to accept that there are any gender differences, and we see that now. This sort of refusal to accept that. But a doctor would never agree with that. A nutritionist would never agree with that. There are distinct differences between men and women. And their the calorie allotment that they need. And there's just really, again, I just don't think there's anything wrong with men and women making different choices about food. Apparently, I'm alone in that.
All right, Julie, we got to leave it there, unfortunately. Thank you very much for coming in the studio today.
Thanks for having me.
Julie Gunlock with the Independent Women's Forum here on Cam & Company.